Heyo, it's Sven. So today I'm going to be continuing the series that I started on making a saami knife. Again, I didn't clarify it too much before. I'm not a professional at this, but I'm sharing what I know because it might help somebody down the line. So this is how far we got in the last video. I cleaned it up a little bit. It's still ugly, but I'll get better at it with time, and how well I did here does not dictate how well you do. But anyway, so we made this part in the last episode, and I split it in half, drilled the holes, and now it is time to make the blade. I'm going to be forging it myself, but you can always go online and just buy a blank Mora blade, or any other method you wish to use to get your own blades. But I'm going to be choosing to make it myself. So I'll show you a little bit on that process. It's just like every other knife making video out there, so I might not go too in depth, but we'll get there. So some of y'all out there might be thinking, hey, you said you're gonna forge the blade, so why are we out here looking at the sheath? Well, and there's a good reason for that. Basically, I can't forge the blade unless I know how big I can/should make the blade. Now there are two methods for it, and I'll be showing you both of them today. So both of them are easier once you have the knife, the sheath in two pieces like I have here. And the first thing you should be able to see is that you have all this theoretical space that could be filled with a blade. So how do we figure out how much blade you can make to still fit within? Well, way number one is to take a knife that you already have, lay it on top, and see if it'll fit. And just so you know, the edge of the blade should always face opposite of the curve. So when you put the knife in, the spine is going to be towards the curve, and the edge is going to be towards the front part, like it is here. Don't need too much explanation. So as you can see here, this blade might fit barely, but you won't have too much space on the walls, but you could do it and it would definitely work. So this could theoretically be our maximum blade size. The other way to do it is to take a pencil, go about where you feel comfortable, and then draw out the theoretical blade maximum. And then after all that, you'll take something like a pair of calipers here, and then you can either measure the drawing, or in this case, if you really wanted to, you could go and measure the blade that you used. And then you'll get a general idea on how much space you have to work with within your antler. Within your sheath, rather. So I'm going to do that quickly, and once I have my numbers, we should be hitting the forge. Alrighty, so what I'm going to be using is this spring from the back of my Jeep, which is currently also my camera stand. This is a rear spring. It's good steel. I'm going to try and go for that. What I've found best works. Maybe it ain't the best, but grab something like that, oily rag, put it in there, drop in some charcoal, the charcoal just really helps the coal start to burn, because this coal doesn't really like to burn too much. The charcoal helps it out quite a bit.
So quick disclaimer, I had to take the bandana off and put it on my face because the wind changed my face. So you might see blood from this point on. Anyway, as you can see, I cut it, and now time for the next part. Click away now if you don't want to see blood. See what we're going for there. Wasn't the best idea to show you guys first, probably not. Oh well. it's a far ways off, but you can see how I'm getting. Saami knives tend to have those really thin rat tail tangs like that they use to stick into the handles. And then you have the blade, which is still very rough. The reason it's rough is because I'm grabbing it by the blade right now to forge the tang. And if I were to finish this, it would be rough finished. So right now, even if I ding it up, I'm still gonna have to do some finishing work on that blade, which means it's not gonna be that big of a problem later down the line. So another trick, if you have thin parts like the very tip there, is to only cover the parts that you really want to get hot, and then the heat will percolate through to the tip part anyway. So that way you don't melt the tip off, and you still get the sort of middle area there hot. So it's not quite exactly what I wanted. It's still hot, but I'm running out of time for today and I just want to get this done. So I'm going to finish it up with filing and a grinder and stuff. So yeah, that's more or less it for now. And I'll see you when it's cooled off. Alright, so you can see this is how well I did in terms of size. It's bigger than I want it to be, and that's because I can take material off, but I can't put it back on. So this still needs to be ground down so it's good and flat. It still needs to be filed and, you know, worked. So it ain't quite totally there yet, but we're getting there. As I said, I was rushed for time, so I needed to just kind of get it done. But that's it so far. Alright, let's move on. And now comes the tedious task of filing it down using all these guys. Or what I might also do is bust out my grinder, make things go a little faster. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Again, if you are curious, there are millions of videos about it, so you know, you can always check out one of them. But I'll get to that. So I did some filing, as you can see, but I think I'm just going to bust out the grinder and do it quick and evenly. So to do that, this grinder doesn't have an on and off switch that works, so And that's a whole bunch of that.
All right, slowly but surely we are getting it there. Right now it's just a lot of stock removal because it's really thick, but after that I'm going to file it up and make it look less off. So yeah, we're getting there. So a lot more grinding later, and I got it to about here. It will take more grinding. It's still pretty dull, but you get the general idea of how it's turning out. So yeah, a little bit more time and she'll be done. At least ready for temper, that is. And then I'll continue on. After a load of sanding, like you just saw, I got it to this point. So it still has a lot of the imperfections from the grinder and just some uneven lines, some uneven topographical anomalies, you might call them. But it's fairly straight. And you can see it is not sharp yet, but I don't want it to be super sharp because I will ruin that edge once I heat this up to quench it and then temper it. So right now I'm just going to take some sandpaper and start polishing this up, which should remove a lot of those problem spots and make it look a lot cooler. So time to get at it. And this is 220 grit. This is probably as far as I'm going to go for now. And then, yeah, I'll quench it, temper it, and repolish it. I might stamp something there. We'll see. But yeah, get to it then. Time to polish off this black and then make it blue. That's called tempering, that is. And there's the temper. It's a little harder on the tip, and you know, that'll be fine. It's a really thick blade, so it'll do fine. But yeah, I think those colors look nice. All right, next step. This is it after
all the quenching and tempering and all that stuff, and it's basically done. The only thing it needs now is a final sharpening, but that's going to be done some other time. But yeah, so now the next part is going to be making the handle, and that'll be in part 3. So stay tuned. That's all for this video though. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Hey do.